Inning and a half later, the Chinese came close to tying the game, but by the top of the sixth, still trailed 1-0. That's when Andrea Duran greeted reliever Lu Wei with a one-out single that gave the U.S. some insurance as Jessica Mendoza scored to up the lead to 2. The Chinese had no answer for USA's Osterman, who again backed her team to victory and within one win of a perfect round-robin record. The Italy vs. Great Britain game on the final day of round-robin play carried playoff implications with it, so the Italians got right to work. Veronica Fontana reached base on this error to lead off the bottom of the first inning, and 3 batters later, another mistake by the British cost them a run as Fontana scored to make it 1-0. Two innings later, Great Britain got further behind the 8-ball when with 2 outs, Rebecca Iachino walked on 4 straight pitches, and Chanel Garofalo then came up and tripled her in. Garofalo scored on the next at-bat, and Italy was on its way to a 3-0 win and a spot in the playoffs, with Great Britain eliminated. The intensity was already at a playoff level when 5-1 China took on 5-1 Canada to determine the second and third seeds from Pool A. The host team got on the board first with 2 outs in the bottom of the first inning when Zhang Ai singled home Zhou Yi before the team settled down for what looked like would be a pitching duel between Canada's Robin Mackin and China's Lu Wei. The emotions peaked when with 2 outs in the top of the 7th. The visitors put the tying run on second base on this Angela Lichty double, but Canada couldn't finish the rally as China left the field 1-0 winners. The opening game of the playoffs reunited the 2004 Olympic gold medal game participants, the USA and Australia. Following a leadoff double by Crystal Bustos to start the bottom of the second, catcher Stacey Newman hit this 2-run homer to put the Americans on top. The Aussies came right back at the top of the third though, getting back-to-back hits from Sandra Allen and Stacey Porter to tie it at 2. The U.S. came back with 2 runs of their own in the bottom of the third on a Jessica Mendoza home run for what would be the beginning of the end, as the U.S. went on to a big 11-2 victory that left the Aussies stunned and USA soon on its way to a clash with rival Japan. That's because Japan came out next and kept their record perfect with a win over China. They needed an extra inning to do it, but this play in the top of the 8th led to what would be the only score in the game, as Yukiko Ueno pitched a complete game, striking out 10 batters, as China, despite having had their chances, lost for just the second time in the tournament, while the winners, much to the dismay of the home crowd, improved to 8-0, setting up a game the next day against the also unbeaten U.S. team, who they'd beaten in 2 different tournament gold medal games in 2005. But there was still other nail-biting action to unfold first. Canada squared off against 4-3 Chinese Taipei in a game in which a loser would be knocked out. Knowing that, the Canadians got right to work, taking a lead in the bottom of the first inning when Melanie Matthews stole third base, then scored on Sheena Lorik's single. As pitcher Danielle Laurie held Chinese Taipei at bay, the Canadian bats found more potency in the fifth inning, resulting in a 3-0 lead. Chinese Taipei finally got on the board a half inning later on this 2-run double, but Laurie closed the door the rest of the way, giving Canada the 3-2 win and sending Taipei home disappointed after having won World Championship bronze 4 years earlier. The evening finished with another elimination game as 5-2 Venezuela took on 3-4 Italy. The upstart Venezuelans got going fast, taking a 1-0 lead in the top of the first when Denise Guanmayor drove in Maria Soto, but Italy tied the game at 1 in the bottom of the fourth on an Ava Trevisan RBI single. One inning later, it was Cristina Rola who had a leadoff home run off an 0-1 pitch that would prove to be the eventual game-winning run as Italy lived to see another day, while Venezuela left having made a big improvement on their showing at the last World Championship in 2002 when they went 3-4 and didn't even make the playoffs. The next morning, it was Canada versus Australia in a game in which the loser would go home. With so much on the line, Team Canada coach Laurie Sipple put ace Lauren Bay in the circle to duel with Australia's Melanie Roach. Trailing 1-0, the Canadians got their offense going with 2 runs in the top of the fourth. Still up 2-1, an inning and a half later, the bottom fell out for the red and white. A 5-run Aussie fifth inning, highlighted by this Tracy Mosley double, sent Australia on their way to what would be a 7-2 win thanks to this 6th inning Sandra Allen home run. Australia had little time to celebrate though, watching the next game closely to see who their opponent would be later that night. The Aussies weren't the only ones watching the next game closely. The home fans filed into Feng Tai softball field as their team readied for an elimination game against Italy. What began as a close game took on a whole new look in the 4th inning. Leading 1-0 after 3 innings, China erupted for 5 runs in the top of the 4th. A double by Zhou Yi, then a triple by Yu Yan Hong led the charge. One inning later, the Chinese are right back at it, picking up 3 more runs for a 9-0 lead. Italy finally broke the shutout with 1 run in the bottom half of the inning, but it was certainly a case of too little, too late, and China now had a date with Australia. First, though, there was the little matter of unbeaten USA taking on unbeaten Japan. With each team at 8-0 and the winner advancing directly to the next day's gold medal game, a lot was certainly on the line. Tied 0-0 after 3.5 innings, Japan finally drew first blood. With 1 out and runners on second and third, Satoko Mabuchi scored Akio Onishi, followed by a Saichiko Ito single that brought home Emi Naito to make it 2-0. 1 inning later, Meigo Hirose opened up with a double and came home 2 batters later to extend the lead to 3. Finally, in the top of the 6th inning, the U.S. got a run on this Crystal Busto single, but it would be their only run of the game in falling 3-1. Australia and China retook the field for the second time each that day, both with their sights on a game against the Americans the next day. This one lived up to what everyone expected, with the teams locked in a defensive showdown tied 0-0 after 3.5 innings. With 1 out in the bottom of the 4th, though, up steps Stacey Porter, who has fast become a home run threat on the international softball scene. After fouling off the first pitch, she made no mistake on the next one, taking it out for what would prove to be the game-winning run, as Australia went on to a 1-0 victory that left the Chinese with a 7-3 record and the Aussies still with hope. A familiar pairing opened the final day of play as Australia looked to win its third straight and give the U.S. its second straight loss and a bronze medal. It started out looking like that might be the case. Stacey Porter hit her second home run in about 20 hours to make it 1-0 for the green and gold. The U.S. came back with a run of its own in the bottom of the second, and when they scored again in the third, the tide seemed to be turning. Australia shut down the red, white, and blue in the bottom of the fourth, but couldn't get back on the scoreboard. Still down 2-1, they gave up another single run in the fifth, then saw Crystal Bustos finish off what would be a 5-1 U.S. victory with his 2-run home run in the bottom of the sixth. The Aussies got the bronze medal, and the U.S. got a chance to redeem themselves against Japan. After 9.5 days and 59 games, it was time to decide the 2006 World Champion. Would it be Yukiko Ueno and Team Japan, or Kat Osterman and Team USA? No one could tell as the first 5 innings of the gold medal game went by without either team scoring. Finally, in the top of the 6th inning, the U.S. got a spark. Following a one-out Natasha Watley single, Jessica Mendoza continued her great offensive performance of the 2006 World Championship with a 2-run home run that would prove to be all the offense the Americans would need. To solidify the win, Crystal Bustos then stepped up and homered in the next at-bat, sending the U.S. on to a 3-0 victory. While it meant silver for Japan, they, along with Team USA, as well as Australia and Canada, all had berths in the 2008 Olympic softball competition, along with the host country's Team China, with the remaining 3 spots up for grabs at regional Olympic qualifiers in 2007. Surely, though, these teams showed over 10 days that exciting and competitive international softball is in full swing around the world.
I now declare the championship of 2006 closed.